What up, Stamp Gang? This is Sade of Sade No Days Off. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another edition of Self Sunday. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sade. I am a travel and wellness vlogger, and we are in the midst of my summer self-care series and how to recharge, refresh, restart during the summer months so that we can finish out the rest of the year strong. We've been talking about priorities and refocusing priorities, and now I beg the question, what do you do once you've reset your priorities, right? Because it's easier to focus in on what you should be focusing in, in theory. It's easy to write it down on paper and say, okay, this is what I need to focus on. But the harder, more challenging part is actually putting it into practice. And so when you decide that there are certain things that are on your plate that shouldn't be there and you need to take them off, there comes with it sort of mindsets and emotional attachments that also are a part of your day-to-day life that you have to think about how to sort of let those things go so that you really can focus on the things that are of priority. For me, that happens all the time. When I am deciding what I'm focusing my energy on, without question, I have to reevaluate my feelings and my emotions towards things and people, especially if I'm taking people off of my priority list. And so to give you a little bit of a story time, that happened to me this past week. I had a friend of mine who was supposed to be really close to me, and we got into a disagreement about presence and being there for one another and things of that sort. And to keep it really, really short, there were a lot of things that had gone on, and this particular friendship was probably irreconcilable. Like, there were irreconcilable differences, and we just were not going to see eye to eye to come to a sort of middle ground with our relationship. Now, that also was due to how I prioritized myself in relation to the people around me. I have been really working on putting myself first, making my mental health, my self-care, my wants and needs my priority. Like, really close to the top of my list. Like I said, my relationship with God and my spiritual health is first. Then I'm putting Sade second, because those two things are tied together. And then everybody else gets in line after that. So for me, part of this had been thinking about my relationships and my friendships. And this has been happening for a few years, where I'm the type of person that I give and give and give and give, and I put others before myself, even to my detriment. And I'll check in on people that weren't checking in on me. And so I had to stop that because I was like dipping out of my bucket. One of my favorite books to read children is Have You Filled a Bucket Today? Everybody has a personal bucket, and in that bucket you have all of your emotions and your feelings and all your energy, and people either pour into it or they take out of it. And this was one of those situations where I had realized that I was dipping out of my bucket and allowing others to dip out of my bucket, and the same people were not necessarily pouring back into my bucket. So I'm going around with an empty bucket, y'all. And what that looks like in real life is just being lethargic, you feeling alone, feeling like you are in imbalanced relationships in particular. And so I had decided that when it came to my friendships, friendships are friendships that are equitable. And that is super important to me. My relationships must be equitable, meaning that we are giving one to another at almost the same level. There may be times when you're giving more to me because I have need, or there might be times where I'm giving more to you because of your need at the moment, but it's not perpetual. What is perpetual is that there's a balance in how we are relating to each other and the type of energy and care and love we are giving to one another. And I only have time to foster relationships where there is a certain level of equity in those relationships. So because that is sort of my standard for friendship and any sort of relationship now, I don't really have room. That's what we'll say. I don't really have room for inequitable relationships or for serious misunderstandings. Like if there's a misunderstanding and we can't come to an agreement about it or to a place where we're both listening, then that's a relationship that has to be re-evaluated. And I do suggest that to you if you are taking people off of your plate, to really look at what that means and to say that what are my feelings that are attached to this. Because even if you get upset or you have ill feelings, if you're holding on and harboring those things, those are not helping you to focus on things you need to focus on. So you have to, whether it's forgiving that person, letting it go, whatever the case may be, whatever you have to do to sort of clear that thing completely off your plate, that's what you want to be doing. Now, when it comes to the things that you focus on and the emotions that are tied to it, you really have to examine why the emotions are what they are. If you feel like you have to be super duper available to somebody, anybody, it could be parent, it could be friend, it could be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If you have the sense that your all needs to go into a relationship that is not giving anything or giving very little back to you, you have to ask yourself, why do I feel like I have to give out everything to person, people, thing? And is that healthy? So for me, if it is a relationship that is not equitable for me, then I have to examine why. And a lot of times for me, it is due to putting my value, how I value myself, and how other people treat me. So I feel like if I'm giving all of this, all of my time, my energy, or even large chunks, it doesn't have to be all, to a person, that they will validate my goodness by treating me the same, or giving me the attention that I want. And for me, that is more deeply tied to my relationship with my father and my sort of fear of abandonment. And I know that about myself because I've done a lot of digging and I'm doing the work on myself. But you kind of have to go down that path to sort of pinpoint why those things are. And then you have to begin reframing your mindset toward those things. So for me, it was having to say, my value is not tied to an inequitable relationship. The fact that that person is not treating me the way I want to be treated doesn't say anything about me. It says something about how that person views our relationship, or even whatever that the other person is going through. And so if that is the case, then that allows you to take yourself off the hook with that, and to sort of separate yourself from those ill feelings when you say, okay, well, that is not a value judgment on me. If I'm being a crappy friend, that is a value judgment on me. But if somebody else is treating me a particular way that is not because of something I have actually done to them, then you make peace with that and you say, okay, well, that's not a me thing. and then you have to let that go. And good ways of letting things go are writing it down. Writing down the thing that is bothering you and literally throw it away. And once you write it down, it's out in the universe. Once you've thrown it away, you've gotten rid of it. Another way to do that is to to visualize and then sit and meditate on the things that are bothering you. Let them sort of come to you. And then you think of yourself having a backpack with all of these things. We all carry around weight. And so what you do is to, sit, meditate, the things that are bothering you in your mind and in your spirit and things like that, they will come up if you can sit quietly and just let them come. And then you reconcile them, take them out of your backpack, take them out of your proverbial backpack, and feel the weight lift off of you. And those are really practical ways to sort of start detaching yourself from negative feelings that are attached to the things that you are trying to let go of. And when you do that, you're making space. And empty your backpack means you have time to fill it with other things. When you have your bucket that has been empty, but you've gotten rid of the people that are dipping in your bucket constantly and not pouring into it, you leave more room to be poured into by the people and the things that give you joy. So you can make more room for that. And that is part of what it means to really restart and recharge, and to shed the weight of the feelings attached to old habits and things that were old priorities. It is to make room. You want to make room not just on your literal plate that we did, but you want to make room in your bucket, make room in the bag you carry for more good things, to give you energy, to give you mental space, to give you heart space, to be focused on the things that you need to be focused on, and to have the energy to devote to it. Because when you deal with stuff that is not in your best interest, it's not to your highest good, it's taking up unnecessary space, that just means you have less room and less space and less energy and less brain power to devote to the things you need to be devoting time to. And we don't want that. We want to be able to make this life count, because you only get one. And I think a lot of times we sort of squander our time in situations that do not serve our best and highest good. And that is a problem, because the thing is, and I had like a revelation of this late last year, had a whole dream about it, and God communicated to me that you will be walking with people and they will drop their baggage and let you pick their baggage up and carry it around, and they'll zoom off ahead of you and look back at you holding their baggage and ask you why you're taking so long or why you're moving so slowly. That blew my mind, because that's not fair. That's not fair to you. So don't pick up other people's stuff. Leave it where it is. Take the stuff that you have picked up from other people and you've been holding it, let it go. You don't necessarily have to give it back, but you need to let it go. And that is so that you can make more room and more space for that which is good. The Bible says you need to focus on that which is of good rapport, of what is good, what is just, and all those things. And that's where your focus needs to be for yourself. As always, friends, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend about the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.